to Jake Jackets. Gear up to fire the cannon and hit the ice with your host, Jay Ashdown and Jake Gehringer.
But, this is the crisis day for baseball season starting, playoff hockey, playoff basketball, Masters, all that stuff.
Springtime is one of those times of year, right? Like, where you're so excited as a sports fan.
Yeah.
But at what cost? Because for those of us, like both of us, that deal with fucking pollen and seasonal allergies,
my nose gets stuffy a little.
My throat is as congested as ever.
Yeah.
Like the post-nasal drip's the worst.
Let me tell you.
We talk about this every year.
Yeah. That is the worst out of all of it, is the congestion and all that shit.
I'm going to be dealing with this like all episode long, so you guys are just going to have to bear with me. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I apologize to SPF too.
Okay, our docket for today, we're going to go through the Kepi chart as we promised. I'm surprised. Well, I'm not surprised because timing. We were going to have a couple of guests on today. We had first wanted to get Jeremy and Laura on. Unfortunately, they're both busy. But hopefully soon we can get a big and fun guest. Before too long, we're working on that. I don't want to really give spoilers for that. But we should have a big guest coming up before too long, I would hope.
We'll be working on that for the summer, for sure. Like throughout the summer, we want to get some good guests on and whatnot.
Yeah, we'll be networking for other people, but I hope our first big one comes sooner rather than later.
So do I. That'd be great.
We're working on it. But we're going to go through the Kepis throughout the season. We're going to talk about a big return that's coming. Jarmo Kekalainen had a presser about Brad Larsen that we're going to talk about, and then we're going to end on the playoffs so far. But first, we got to get to our DraftKings read with Kepi Keepers. So NBA playoffs time. Like we said, we've been talking about baseball. There's playoff hockey. There's playoff basketball. We're going to be talking about the playoff hoops. With your official sports betting partner of the NBA, DraftKings Sportsbook, you can get in on every game with a touch of a button. New customers make a $5 pregame moneyline bet, score $150 in bonus bets if their team wins. Plus, everybody, whether you're new, whether you're with us or not already, everyone can score a no sweat same game parlay every day during the playoffs, the entire playoffs.
Yeah.
Which is pretty nice, pretty good perk to stretch that out through the whole playoffs, isn't it? You just open the DraftKings Sportsbook app, you opt in, you place your same game parlay on any NBA game, and if it doesn't hit, you get your bonus bet back up to $10. How are your picks going?
My picks have been going pretty well so far. I've been enjoying playoff basketball a ton. Went to games 1 and 2 for the Cavs.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the worst game I've ever seen the Cavs play last night.
Oh,
they were ungodly bad. It was a bad loss. But still only down 2-1 in the series, so there's still time if they can get something going in game 4. But I've really enjoyed watching the Sacramento Kings as well. So
yeah, because didn't we talk about the Kings in a previous NBA read and how we're like,
I think so.
It's fun to see them finally do things, right?
They're like the all vibes team in the NBA, where like just about everybody who doesn't have a dog in the fight for that series is rooting for them.
Yeah. Well, because like we said, Sacramento has always been like, I hate to use another dog analogy, but like a dog's breakfast in the NBA.
They haven't made the playoffs since 2006. Like they've been really bad over the years. And especially in a state like California, not only are you bad, but you're so overlooked by the Lakers and the Warriors and hell, even the Clippers.
Yeah, the Clippers now, because the Clippers were one of those out of the 4 Cali teams that the NBA has.
Mm-hmm. So it's been a rough go, but they're back in the playoffs. They have a fun team, and I really enjoyed them. So, yeah, you want to bet on a team this series? I think Sacramento's gonna beat the Warriors.
Keep an eye on the Kings. Keep an eye on the Sacramento Kings. And yeah, you can do that with your same game parlays as well. Download the app now and sign up with code THPN. New customers can bet a $5 pregame money line bet and score $150 in bonus bets if their team wins. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code THPN. All our disclaimer stuff is always down in our description. You know, we got to do that. Let's take a look at this chart, shall we?
Yeah, let's do a speed round because I'm curious who's at the top and who's at the bottom.
I mean, we know who's at the top. We know who's at the very top of the summit here.
Yeah.
But we've actually got some really fun picks in here, like off the board and all of that. Like throughout the year, it's been kind of fun. We've got like 65 tallies in here.
Jesus.
Yeah, and I mean that includes when we had Jeremy and Laura on.
Right. Wow.
So starting off the list, big free agent Johnny Gaudreau leads the way, of course.
How many?
4 from you and 5 from me. So he ended up with 9.
That's a lot for
that's a ton for one guy, right?
Yeah.
It's funny because like throughout the season, I didn't want to make it like a Bjorkstrand thing from last year.
Yeah, I didn't want to do that either. I wanted to give other people some props.
But that's how it ended up, just because Johnny was the MVP for this team.
You know, the team was so bad that not many other people were competing. But he was also by law. So
yeah, and I mean he had a great. Obviously, he didn't have the 93-point season we were hoping for that he was on pace for, but he still ended up, you know, with a fairly decent season with how the team finished.
For a guy who had his number one center in and out of the lineup at times, had his number one winger in and out of the lineup.
His right-hand man, like, yeah.
He played with a lot of different guys. And in his first season with the team, to play with so many new players for the first time and then have those players go down, and now you're playing with other new players. Like I thought he played very well this season.
And some of that comes to coaching decisions as well. Like when there were games when he was swapping Boone and Roslovic like all the time, and Johnny didn't know who to play with.
Jack didn't belong anywhere near the top line. So that tells you how bad it was this season that he played on it.
It's just like weird. Speaking of Boone, he didn't get anything this year.
Not one.
Not one.
Wow. I feel like that's
I know that's a surprise, like, isn't it?
It's not. I'm not totally surprised simply because he had some good games this year, but it always felt like it's kind of what we just talked about. We don't want to give so many to Boone. He had a really good season, but we gave some to other guys for different reasons.
But to give so many to Johnny and then looking second on the chart, because I just went by like how the lines were constructed at the time, to not give any to the captain feels weird to me.
It does feel weird. That was a miss on our end.
Yeah.
But there's a reason we do it this way. We don't check because we don't want to be like, oh, we haven't given one to Boone in a while, so let's just give one to Boone. No, we just give it based off how we're feeling after a certain series of games. So
yeah, it's how the stretch goes and who we think is the most deserving, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunate for Boone, he's this poor guy. I don't know. He'll be fine. It's Boone Jenner.
Yeah,
he's not going anywhere. Patty Line got 4. He got 2 from each of us.
Okay, makes sense.
KJ with a lot.
7.
KJ with 6. He got 2 from you and 4 from me.
Damn.
I'm surprised you only gave him 2.
Well, here's the thing. The other thing is like we try not to match each other unless it's like a very scenario. So, you know, sometimes it's just a case of, you know, you get to someone first or I get to someone first.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I remember,
you know, like when Eric Robinson got a hat trick, we were both like, okay, this is a time when
hell yeah.
When KJ scored, happy. But
when KJ scored his Michigan,
has a goal.
Like,
yeah, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. So I'm not totally surprised by that.
Yeah. Next up is speak of the devil, Jack Roslovic. He got one from each. He had a couple good games in there where, he deserved it. I wouldn't be surprised if he does get traded this summer, though, with him being UFA, and we'll see what happens.
Yep.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
Gus Nyquist got one before he left town.
From who?
From you.
I don't remember it.
No, it was probably pretty early on, right?
Yeah, I'd imagine.
I don't know. But good on Gus getting at least
this
something.
This season has been so long that I kind of forgot that he was a Blue Jacket this season.
I know, and now he's finally playing
with
again.
The Wild,
he's playing with the Wild.
It doesn't feel weird to me that he's on the Wild.
No, because he was just so injured, and it was just like, what do you do with an injured property like that other than get rid of it for cap space? And I will say that was a good Gus did great things for this team.
He was big. I mean, like I said, he's the guy. The same day that Panarin and Bobrovsky left, obviously Gus Nyquist was nowhere near those guys, but he was the guy who said, "I want to be here," and he signed a 4-year deal with us, and there's value to that. First season with the team, they made the playoffs in the bubble, and I say his second season he was out the entire year, but I'm not going to remember his time being on IR for most of it, even though
right.
He did spend a good chunk of his time injured.
I will remember him as a shorthanded king.
That is how I will remember him too.
He was just a PK monster out there.
A guy whose underlying numbers speak very poorly defensively at 5-on-5, but the second they're shorthanded, he's a god.
Yeah.
Don't know what it is. There's something about one less guy being on the ice for his team that he is just clamps.
He's just on it. And he played well with Johnny too, really early on before he got hurt.
He did. Yeah.
He had some good chemistry with Johnny.
That first month, when Patrick got hurt, he was consistently on that top line, and that line was generating a lot of chances.
Yeah, so, and they all looked really good together. Jacob Voracek getting a send-off one from me.
Legendary Coyote.
I
will forever.
I miss the dude already.
As an Arizona Coyote, playing along with legends like Marian Hossa and Pavel Datsyuk and
Andrew Ladd.
Yeah.
You can actually it's so funny with all the dead contracts that the Coyotes have on their payroll. You could actually make
oh my god, you could make a 2007 Stanley Cup champion caliber team.
You could make a 2005 Stanley Cup champion.
Yeah, 2005. I like that.
Exactly.
Lockout.
Hey,
that was good. That was creative.
Yeah, you like that? That's good.
Yeah, I do like that.
Cole got one from each of us, and that was the exact same game that he got the monkey off his back.
Yeah.
That was from when he scored his second goal of the season after not scoring since November.
You remember what I said? That first game against Carolina, he had the sick goal, but it got called offside.
Yeah.
And I remember saying oh man, that sucks because sophomore slumps happen, and to have that happen so early can be detrimental. And good Lord, I'm not saying that
was
because of that one moment, but it's hard not to imagine that things could have gone at least a little differently if that goal stands and he gets a goal in his first game of the season to start off his second year. Just a really rough year for the kid.
That wasn't a slump. That was falling off a cliff.
Yeah.
And I felt so bad for him because we know what our expectations are for him.
Yeah.
It's like
good middle six player who can, at his absolute best, potentially be a second line center in the league.
Be a very solid number 2. And that's what we want to see out of him, right?
Yeah.
And then he gets sent down to the Monsters. He's playing with his brother Owen for, the Monster stretch.
Mm-hmm.
And he's doing okay. He was doing all right down there.
Yeah, but it's going to be some expectations for him next season after, the sophomore slump. But it's important to remember he's still only 19 years old.
Yes.
So, you know,
Temper those
be
expectations.
a little patient. Be a little patient. And I say that not for everybody else, but for me too.
Yes.
It's
Well, it's
important to
funny
have patience
because
about
of the
that.
way his rookie season was extremely solid. And then,
Yeah. 2
so
goals and 6 points in 11 games for the Monsters after getting called down.
not bad. Not too
Not
bad.
bad.
And he's got some chemistry with his brother, which is fun to see.
Yeah. And who knows? Like, I know he had a good season his rookie year, but I don't think there needs to be this absolute that he needs to start next season with Columbus. It would be nice if he can do that, but I don't want them
Right.
just to force him into the NHL if they feel that he may need some more seasoning in Cleveland.
Yeah. I think that it would be a good move, depending on how his camp goes, to start him off in Cleveland and then pull a Marchenko, call him up,
Yeah. Now, granted, if he kicks ass in preseason, then you keep him up, but
Yeah.
you let the player earn it.
Yes. Yegor Chinnikov ended up getting one from me. I can't remember when it was, but he got one.
Might have been the one where he scored against Florida in that game you went to.
No, because I remember I was going through the episodes
Okay.
earlier this morning, and that's not. I don't think that was who I gave it to for that episode.
I think it was when he scored the only goal against the Devils in that terrible.
There might have been. Might have been. But good on the Jaeger bomb for at least getting a shout out. Hoping for big stuff from the guy next year. He got his 1-year extension, so he's getting, another chance to show what he can do.
Yeah, I mean they're going to keep him around for a little bit. I know that's a player that Jarmo and company really believe in.
Well, yeah, being such an
tools
off the
are
board
so
pick in his
obviously
draft.
there, but I just don't. My only concern is I just don't think he's ever going to become that complete player that they're hoping for.
You
But
don't.
if you tell me that by the end of next season, man, this guy's got some Victor Olofsson in him, I'll take it. Not a complete player, but I mean, if this is a guy who can get you 25, 30 goals a year and just be out there
Yeah,
for
if
not, then I
if he
think you
becomes
kinda
a
just bring it back.
specialist, that's fine. Like,
His development isn't the most paramount on this team.
no, he's gonna be just fine. Eric Robinson, he got 3. He
Yes,
got
against Buffalo, he got 3.
yeah, he did, and he got a Kepi from each of us for that, and then he got another one from you earlier in the season.
Yeah.
Back when the
He had a
fourth
good
line was.
When we talk about players who had we've been so obviously negative about this season, no doubt about it.
Yeah,
For good reason.
well, I mean,
But that's one guy I don't think we've talked about enough in terms of he had a pretty good year.
yeah.
No, like Eric Robinson, and I think he's only going to have 1 year left on his deal now, if I'm
I
not
think
mistaken.
he is a UFA going into 2024, yeah.
I would extend him. If the price is reasonable, I'd keep him around.
Yeah.
Speedy guy. I think he plays well in the bottom 6. There's obvious connection with Sean Corrali. I don't see any reason you wouldn't want to keep a guy like that around.
Well, you got to remember that the other Kepi that you gave him was back when that fourth line with him and Sean and Olivier.
And Olivier was actually playing well.
It was playing like a second line.
Well, because Brad was consistently playing it.
Playing them as a second line, yeah.
Man.
But that was actually when they were getting their chances. They were netting things. They were doing things, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he got at least, maybe a 2 or 3 year deal if he keeps this up.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on how the cap space is, I wouldn't mind it.
Yeah.
Speaking of Sean, he only got 1.
Who's it from?
You.
Damn right.
Damn right it is.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with Sean this season.
No, he was great. And,
he did his job.
He did his job. He set a career high in points, didn't he?
They really?
First year with his hometown team, and I'm pretty sure he set a career high for at least goals, if not points.
Oh, well, let me look it up right now.
Yeah, go ahead. Be my
Who's
guest.
Who's our next one?
Who's the next one? Poor Justin Danforth. Didn't get anything.
Oh, yeah.
This poor guy.
Yeah, so last year he had 14 goals and 16 assists for 30 points. This season he had 11 goals, 9 assists for 20 points.
Oh,
So
but no career highs, but
I'm fine with that. I mean, hovering around 50% of the faceoff dot for his career.
He's consistently your third line guy, if not your fourth line guy.
He should be your fourth line guy. He had played up in the lineup due to injuries and other players not being very great. But, long term, I feel comfortable with him as the fourth line center of the team.
And he's got 3 more years left on his contract, right? It's 3, right?
I believe 2. I think he signed a 4-year deal with us.
He signed a 4-year.
So 2 years are already done now. So
okay, so he's halfway through. All right.
Yeah.
But yeah, poor Justin Danforth not getting anything because he was injured like that.
Hey, you know what he did this season?
He played with Johnny Gaudreau.
He assisted on Johnny's first as a jacket.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for Danforth to come back next season. I think he's a guy who can play in the bottom 6 and provide a little spark.
He's a good Swiss Army guy that can play in your top 6 if you absolutely need it.
Yeah, like he's not a top 6 player, but you play him there, and because he's fast, he's like a little jitterbug out there.
Yeah, he is.
He's not out of place. He's just not going to really produce at a top 6 offensive clip. But
yeah, I feel that way. I feel that way about Alex Kerfoot playing with Matthews and Marner. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? It's a similar vein to that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But I'm excited for Danny, and I hope he recovers well this summer. I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, I think he'll be fine. He'll be ready for training camp, so I'm excited to see what he does.
You know who's next? Your favorite guy.
Is this sarcasm?
It's Liam Foudy, baby.
For some reason, I thought you were about to say good Branson.
No, because I sorted forwards and defensemen.
All right, so Liam Foudy, how many did he finish with? Probably like 7, right?
He got 3, which is even like that's a shocker for me. Like, based off of. So let's talk about Liam for a hot minute. He was such a roller coaster this year.
It was.
Because we went from
so
yay,
bad.
He made the team.
What was it? It was the first like
so excited.
55 games of the season. He still didn't have a fucking goal.
No.
And it was like, what are we doing here? And then he finished the season with 7.
I know.
He was like weirdly hot the last month of the season.
The last month of the season, he was just a goal suck. And it was just like, bro.
Which like I don't expect to continue heading into next season, but him getting through this season. Let me tell you, he's the luckiest guy on the planet for how many injuries there were this season, because it put the Blue Jackets in a position where they had to play him in the lineup, and they couldn't afford to send him back down or else he'd be claimed. So he just kept playing NHL games.
Down around Christmas.
Because of his last month, it's going to give him more time here.
We were so tired of this kid by like Christmas.
Yeah,
because he just wasn't doing anything.
I'm not saying like I'm hopeful now, but there's at least a glimmer of hope because of the last Kepi
that you gave him. By the way, you gave him 2 out of the 3.
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah. Big Liam guy over here.
It's funny because with the last one you gave him, you were like, "Yeah, I've actually come to warm up to this player. I think he'll be fine."
Well, when you play well, I will tell you. When you don't,
you'll tell. Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't play well for most of the season, but he played well the last, 5 weeks, I'd say.
It was funny though, because the first one he got was from me, and that was when he actually got his first NHL goal, and you laughed at me.
I did. I laughed very hard at you.
And then you ended up giving him the other 2.
He pull shot the thing into the net.
Hey, dude, any way you can score, right? Even if it's off your bum.
Like croquet ball.
Yeah. I mean, guys score off their ass like all the time, and
yeah.
come on. Next is the other fourth line guy in Matthew Olivier. He ended up getting one, and that was for me. That was for that sick goal that he got off a face-off.
Oh yeah.
Around November, December.
Sniper.
Just a total snipe from Matt.
I'm interested. He's an RFA, so I'm wondering what they're going to do with him.
Yeah, and he was actually one of those guys, like, we know he's a bottom six forward, but
he's a fourth line forward.
He is a fourth line forward, but like
I would say bottom three, even though that's not really a term.
But he has like those, you know, we talked up Matthew Olivier way more than we talked up other fourth liners early on in the season, because it was like he knows.
I think it was partially due to such a low expectation for the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you trade a fourth round pick for a guy who is literally at that point in his career only known for fighting, and you see at least a little bit of skill to the game,
Mm-hmm.
we wanted to give the guy some credit.
Well, he's also 25, so like he's young enough still.
Yeah, so like I saw some things that I liked from him this season as a guy who can play in and out of the fourth line. I didn't like how consistent he was in the lineup. But a lot of that was due to injuries. As well as Brad Larsen just
being a stubborn
being Brad.
Just being Brad.
I'm interested to see what his future holds here with a coaching change.
Yeah, I wonder if he's going to keep that
still around here next season.
I wonder if he'll keep that consistent spot, like, because he had moments where you could see plenty of skill to the game, you know, and that was fun to see.
Yeah.
He was shy of a couple of Gordies this year. Like,
he played well with the two other guys we mentioned, Corrali and Robinson. So, I'm not against it. I just don't ever want to see him anywhere above the fourth line.
That's fair. Okay, that's fair. Getting into the defenseman on the chart, Zach didn't get anything from us.
Yeah, because he was hurt. So that's
because he was hurt through 90% of the season. Gabby didn't get anything from us before he got traded, which is unfortunate.
He didn't have a good season for us.
No.
And it is. I said this a couple of times throughout the season. Something I was concerned about was his drop off defensively and offensively.
Especially
made me extremely concerned. You don't want to buy into a player with that much of a drop off in a season.
Right, especially one that's going to be a UFA coming up.
Yeah, so like that's why I was fine with them not extending him. And then, obviously he was negotiation stalled, so you had to trade him. But one thing
he was going through that weird, like, trade related reasons, scratching for weeks.
What did I say? I was worried about most of them.
Oh God, what was it?
I was worried that it was a drop off. I was worried about the fact that I couldn't tell if it was this is just a player who dropped off or this is a player who is really, really diminishing under the coaching.
Right. Like if it's an actual drop off
product of a bad defensive system, not having a good partner on defense, all that stuff. And it is immediately contrasted with you trade him to the LA Kings and he looks
and he's playing so
as he ever has.
Yes. So that proves to us that it was the systems. It's like
I'm happy he's in LA with Corpy. I'm happy that those two are playing well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Later in this episode, but it does sting a little bit that
it does hurt.
That we really liked, who I wanted to be a part of this organization for a long time, is gone. And part of the reason they're gone is because of the coaching.
Yes, that's never fun when you have a player that you attach to that plays well under 1 year, and then the next year, because the system is different, they play like garbage, and then they end up leaving, Because what other choice do you have?
I don't think, and this is just a real quick note, I don't think there's any coincidence whatsoever that this team played so well above their weight last year and were so terrible this year under a coach that we all know wasn't very good. And the reason I say that is because it's very obvious to me that last year,
New
when they
coach boost, like that happens.
you bring in a new coach who is so drastically different from Tortorella. This is a player's coach. This is a more loose guy. This is a young group. They respond positively. They don't play good defense, and they're not the most efficient team. But what did they have? What were they top 5 in last year?
Scoring.
Comebacks.
Comebacks. Oh, that's right.
Comebacks.
Yeah.
They were top 5 in comebacks last year. Why? Because they're playing loose, and they were they never got down on themselves. They found ways to come back in games and to win games in that fashion. And then you come into this season, and that's great for last year, but as expectations ramp up a little bit because you get a Johnny Gaudreau, forget about the injuries for a second. The lack of attention to detail in this season. And I know that neither of us are huge Eric Branson guys, but he nailed it on the head with some of the things that he said throughout the course of the season.
Yes, there were a lot of things that Goody said in his pressers about, like, under the radar about Brad.
Like, we don't know what we're doing at practice. We don't know the drills that we're doing at
Didn't JT Miller say things like that too? Like,
yeah, like things were just a mess. And think about it, not only is this a guy, like we talk about some of these guys going from Torts to Brad Larsen. This is a dude who went from Daryl Sutter
to Brad Larsen. Yeah, like that's a change, man.
That is significant, and it was a mess this season. And I miss Gavi, but I'm happy for him. But not surprised he didn't get anything.
Yeah, Peeker didn't get anything either.
Which is a little funny because he weirdly scored 7 goals this year.
Yeah, he put up like decent offensive numbers for him.
Like the offensive impacts are not there still with him, but he had a couple goals that he just kind of fired the puck at the net and they just kind of went in.
And it just happened. It was like,
like, oh, okay. Like the goal he scored against the Rangers, if you remember that one.
Oh, wait, wasn't that against Igor?
No, it was against Halak.
Oh, it was Halak, and Halak was having a great year too, though. But like, yeah.
Well, so Halak had a bad first month, and we were beating up on him in that game, and then he was great the rest of the year.
Yeah.
But Peter's, like, I looked at some of the goals he scored. He also scored that goal with like 10 seconds left against Arizona when we lost 6-3.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, you look like if you were just to blankly look at his numbers, you'd be like, oh, he actually had a little bit of offense to his game. No, not really. He just kind of lucked.
He had some garbage goals in there that were just kind of like, all right.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, and like Peeker's one of those guys where, we know what he can do. He can chip in here and there. He's a good defensive defenseman.
He's very limited.
Yeah.
But he can contribute defensively. I'm not entirely sure what his future is with the team, and that's going to be an interesting.
I don't know, because
this summer.
Because now the defense core with the younger guys that we have that are going to come up sooner rather than later. And there's a question of other guys that we signed to the Monsters that could get a chance. We'll talk about one of them here in a couple of minutes.
Yeah,
but like Peeker is one of those weird nebulous choices that they have to make.
Yeah, absolutely.
Boqvist, the bestie, got one from you.
Well, you know what? I'm not totally surprised because he only played 44 games this year, but
yeah,
I thought he played well in those games.
But that stretch that he had that you gave him one was just so great.
I was tearing it up. Let me tell you, man, I love this player. The only thing that's ever going to hold back this player is his health.
Yes, which is the most unfortunate thing, right? And can we just make a joke out of this?
That he's wearing number 27.
It's the 27 curse, right?
He needs to change it.
He needs to change his number. Yes,
I was just about to say, change the number.
Change the number, please.
Change the
God.
number to 72. The last guy who wore that was pretty good.
Well, Carson wears that now.
Oh, fuck me.
Carson Meyer wears that now.
Carson Meyer can give it up for Adam Boakfist. Come on.
Maybe. But yeah, I'm excited to see the future with Boki. I hope he's able to stick in this top 6 for runs and runs and runs because he's still so young.
Yeah, I think he can.
I hope he's able to stick around. One guy that I think we're kind of done with that's on the younger side is Jake Bean. He didn't get anything, of course.
Well, he had some injuries too. I think heading into next season, I don't think they should trade him simply because I don't think his value is very high.
You want to give?
You might
do you
as
want
well
to
just
try
keep the player and see if there's anything that happens next season. And if nothing happens, you let him go, and that's that.
Well, like maybe, yeah. And I think that goes back to what we said about Vlad and the coaching decisions that were made. He was playing with Goody
That's a good point.
He was playing with Goody for the majority of the time that he was healthy, and it was awful.
Two things. I mean, you're looking at a guy who, as you said, was playing with good Branson, but B, his 2 years here in Columbus.
Mm-hmm.
This is a guy who went from Rod Brindamore to Brad Larsen.
Yeah.
Who knows? That's a good point. Maybe perhaps with a coaching change, I already said I don't want them to trade him simply because I don't think his value is very high, and you
Right.
might as well just keep him just to see if anything happens. But who knows? Maybe he is a guy who you make a coaching change and he responds. He's able to be a little bit more free offensively.
Yeah.
Maybe you find a better partner for him, and maybe his game takes off. I wouldn't mind them next season giving a look to him with Boakfist.
Him and Boki could be pretty fun, yeah.
Like it's not a pair that's going to be very good defensively.
No.
But who knows? Maybe they complement each other's game offensively, and you can just kind of live with the mixed results defensively.
Yeah, I think because you need guys that can put pucks in the back of the net back there too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like obviously, defensemen don't score as much as forwards just because of the way the positions work.
Unless you're Erik Karlsson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just shouting out EK65 really quick for his over 100-point season. Oh my God.
And for his Norris Trophy Award win. Congratulations to him.
Yeah, that he locked up by like Halloween.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Bean deserves another shot. With a better coach. A better partner. Hopefully an experiment with Boki could turn out pretty fun.
2 guys I want to see him with. Put him with Boakfist. Put him with Jiricek.
Ooh, that'd be fun. Because didn't we see him with blanks at any point this year? Before he got hurt? Did he play with Blankenberg?
Don't think so.
That could be another option.
That to me is just playing with smaller Boakfist.
I guess.
But it is an option. It is an option.
It's an option, I guess. Yeah. Speak of the devil, because we've been ranting about this guy on and off. Eric and Branson.
Agree.
One Kepi.
It was for me.
It was from you.
Yeah.
That's the funniest part to me.
I can't remember what it was. He had one really, really, really good.
I think it was from that one really, really good game.
It was.
And I think you were laughing about it.
I just can't remember which specific game it was, but
one
game that he was really good.
I think
like he was super physical. He was around the play.
I want to say it was around the time that I went to the game against the Panthers.
Yeah, this
around that stretch
November,
of games.
December. It didn't happen in 2023.
So I can't remember what it was either, but it's just funny.
It is, yeah.
Because we know what he is.
Yeah.
And we know what he does. And we know that the contract situation is...
Look, I'll give him this. Okay? He's really good at being 6'3".
Yeah.
At being a right-hand shot.
I thought he was 6'5".
And yeah, I just pulled up I can't remember how
Pulled
big
out a tall
he could be.
number out of
6'3",
his
he could be
butt.
6'4", he could be 6'5", 6'6". I have no idea.
I don't know.
Big.
He's really good at being big.
He's really good at being big. He's really good at being a right-hand shot, and he's really good at being a former top 3 pick. And he has made an entire career off of those 3 things.
Yeah. And he can fight, and he got spat on once.
He did. That was a thing that happened.
Yeah.
It's funny because it happened in the place that was like the least memorable of his entire career.
I know.
He was a duck. And
yes, he was a duck at the time, and Garnet Hathaway was still with Washington, and
was he with Washington at that point?
he was with Washington when
I thought he was a Flame at that point.
At that point, no, he was a Cap.
Jesus.
I remember the play-by-play so clearly because it was Beninati.
God, Beninati's the best. Another 3 years as far as the contract is concerned.
Got to find a way
Wonder
around
what that buyout's gonna look like after next season.
Yeah, if that keeps up the way it does.
Okay. You have Corson Coolmans, David Yurchek, and Denton Matichuk still a ways away from being full-time NHL players.
Yurchek's going to get way more time next year.
This guy is a placeholder.
Yes, he's absolutely the placeholder for these kids.
He is a warm body who can play games. And if you look at it that way and you don't pay attention to the fact that he makes $4 million against the cap, it's not so bad.
Yeah. Moving on, our boy Blanks. We love this kid.
How many did he have? Like 4?
Unfortunately, he only had 2.
Weird. It felt like we had given him so many this year.
I know, because we shouted him out so much, but it's like.
But again, he's another guy who had so many injuries.
Yeah. He got one from you just from, the fact that you love him so much.
Yeah.
Literally, you were just like, it's going to Nick Blankenberg. I love this kid. And I remember that in particular, just the way the delivery and everything.
Yeah. I do. I love this kid.
I know. He's so good. And I hope he's a part of that big top 6 core. Because he proved that he could be.
He is.
He can prove that he could be a top 4 guy this year.
He played in the top 4. I don't think he necessarily proved it. He showed me flashes that made me think that there's something there.
There's a chance in that.
Yeah.
And then his, from me, was for being the halfway point MVP pick.
Oh, yeah.
The All-Star MVP pick.
Yeah.
Because you gave it to Johnny for obvious reasons, and I was like, I'm giving it to Blanks because when he's there.
Yeah.
When he's there, he is like the best one on the ice because obviously Zach is your best defenseman, but he was gone.
Gavrikov had such a terrible year for us, and then he was gone. And shit, I mean, and at that point, Boakfist was out for most of the season.
Yeah. So
when he played 44 games this year, but a majority of them came in the last 2 months.
Right.
So. Yeah, I mean, at that
point, Blanks kind of carried the burden.
Unrealistic to say he was probably the best defenseman of the team at that point.
I still think
says a lot about the team.
Yeah, the Blanks highlight for me has got to be that hit against Anaheim on Isaac Lundstrom, and just seeing the bench reaction, seeing KJ's scream face.
Yeah,
he had like an Edvard Munch scream going on.
Little side note. About our Michigan boys. Jacob Barshevsky might not be a name you recognize, but he was the goalie the last 4 years at Canisius. Had fantastic. Like his last 3 years, he had a 926, a 923, and a 919.
Okay.
So he was a starter for all 4 years at Canisius. He just transferred his grad transfer now at Michigan. So he's going to be in between the pipes for the blue and gold, which that's going to be fun to see.
Nice.
Just, little Canisius news for you.
Fun. I feel bad for you guys getting stomped the way they did.
Yeah, that wasn't fun, but,
Going to the goalies, we got Elvis didn't get anything because this poor dude just, wow.
Ooh. Wow.
And then, it's funny because, we expected him to not get anything based off of how his stats looked this year. But I still feel bad.
because you root for the person.
Yeah, because
And obviously you root for the player because he plays for your team and you want him to be good.
But think about his narrative over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And it's just, man, you just want to see him be the guy.
Yeah. You have Elvis. Here's the thing that we talked about a couple times with Elvis is a change of scenery. Okay.
Yes.
He's not going to get it. His
No,
contract's far too bad for them to trade him. So if we're talking about the incident, easiest change you could make is to change the goalie coach.
Yes.
And
Which
I don't
they
mean
are.
just in the sense that he was there with him, but also in the sense that he's been working directly with him, and his numbers have steadily gotten worse. And Tarasov's numbers didn't look very good. And I know that a lot of people have a lot of respect for Manny Legacy. He had a good NHL career. I don't want to say he's a bad goalie coach, but there's just a disconnect right now.
Yes.
Need someone new, and I'm hoping with a new goalie coach that we can see something click.
Yes.
With the game.
Yes. Going to Corpy, he got 3, 2 from you and 1 from me.
He was phenomenal this season.
It was hilarious though, because
there are 2, dude, he's been so fucking good in the playoffs too.
Night and day from last year, because we were just like, Corpy, whatever.
And the year before that, I mean, Corpy was bad the previous 2 years.
Yeah.
This year.
And then you got to remember he was hurt for the first month and change.
Yeah.
But then when he got back, and he was extremely solid in front of a porous defense.
I think there's at least a decent deal of merit to the concept that he was probably playing hurt a little bit the 2 previous years. The fact that he took his time getting back after the surgery, took all the offseason, first month of this season off, and he's playing as well as he's playing right now. I just don't think that you can say that there's not at least some correlation between the 2 things.
But yeah, no, there has to be something there, right?
And he is going to get paid as a result.
Yeah.
Good for him.
I hope he lands a very nice job somewhere that needs him.
Fuck it. Stay in LA, man.
Stay in LA, yeah.
Seriously. He looks awesome in the black and silver.
He looks pretty good with that. Yeah, and the font and everything too. It looks good. Yeah, and then going to Terry, he got the same result, 2 from you and 1 from me.
He had some really good performances early in the season. He had a really good game against the Panthers.
That I went to. Yeah, he was awesome. He was great against Florida. He was phenomenal against New York.
He looked terrible
early on.
Terrible. Terrible the second half of the season, but he was hurt for a little bit of it, and I think they rushed him back.
Yeah.
He didn't look like he was healthy. So I'm not, young kid, I'm not going to put too much on him for that, but he should be the backup heading into this next season, or at least it should be like a competition between Elvis and Tarasov for the job.
I mean, you mean Elvis and Jet? Because
no, for number 1.
Oh, for number 1. Oh.
Like it's gonna be Elvis and Tarasov next year. So, don't screw it. Why not?
Why not 1A, 1B?
Have an entire off season to prepare, and both of these guys get healthy. They come back. You're bringing a new goalie coach, and just you know what? We're not going into the season with a set number 1 or a set number 2. Whoever's playing well is going to get starts.
Yeah, I think that's a really solid plan that they should look at. That's it for the chart itself, and now to the other guys. Bemstrom, 1 from you, 1 from me. Brendan Gaunce, 1 from you, 1 from me. You all right?
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because the one you gave him was just for getting called up.
I was laughing at Bemstrom.
Yeah, I could tell. And that's like I said, the one you gave him was just for the call up, and then the one I gave him later on was for actually playing. And the funny thing about that is Brendan Gaunce is kind of the same way, except it's swapped. You gave him one for actually playing well and scoring something, and then I just gave him one in that same vein of getting the call up when Bemmer did. I do like Gonser though as a good like filler dude. He's a solid call up guy. You know?
Yeah.
Here's a guy that we both like. He came out of nowhere, expectations wise. Marcus Bjork.
Yep.
He got 1 from me and 2 from you.
Yeah. You got to give it to the Bjork daddy.
Come on now.
From one Bjork to another.
Yeah.
I
I'm
don't know if
excited to
there's any
see what the
legitimate future for
like
this kid on our blue line, but shit, I mean, he's at least a depth guy who was better than we thought he would be, and I liked him. So
he has a really solid game, and he's that blue
be
line
our
has
right-handed Scott Harrington, maybe.
he's got like the depth on this blue line at this point is where like he's at least an intriguing option, right?
Yes.
So yeah,
You roll into the next season with him as your 7 or your 8. I'm fine with that.
yeah, for sure. This is funny. I gave an honorable one to Lars for getting his 100th win in his 100th game, or getting a win in his 100th game, which was the game that I went to against the Panthers. So I gave him kudos for that, because it's a fun milestone, I guess, right? Sure. Here's a nice one. Good turnaround. Kirill the Thrill Marchenko.
Yeah, I was wondering where we're gonna get to him. How many did he have?
4. He got 2 from each of us.
Yeah.
And I'm sure if he would have
Could
gotten
have
called
gotten
up
5
sooner,
or more if he had played the
yeah.
entire season in Columbus.
If he got called up sooner, or at least started here, he would have at least had around 5 or 6.
Yeah, which is around as many assists as he had this season.
And 20. What did he finish with goals wise? 21, 22? Because he broke the rookie record.
I think he finished with like 23 or 24.
Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm so excited for this kid. Like, just going into next year alone, let alone what else he's going to do.
Oh, yeah, 21. Yeah, you're right.
He finished with 21?
Yeah.
21
goals, 4 assists.
4 assists.
Keeper for every assist. And he had 8 goals and 11 assists for 19 points in 16 games with the Monsters.
Oh, man.
It's funny.
I think he was ready. You think he was ready for North American ice? I think he was ready for North American ice.
There's something so funny about him having more assists than goals in the AHL.
Yeah. I think he was ready for the North American game, don't you?
I think so.
It's going to be really fun to see. Like, we know that we want to see, like, as the poster, we want to see it be Johnny and Patrick Laine, right?
Yeah.
But Johnny played so well with Marchie down the stretch, too. Like, dude.
I'm just saying, I don't think Laine and Gaudreau being on different lines is the worst thing.
No, it's not. And we know we wanted to see that chemistry develop, and we know that's what we want out of those two guys. But when push comes to shove, if you got to swap them, swap them.
No, seriously. I mean, if you go Gaudreau with Marchenko and Bedard in the middle,
depending, yeah.
If you have a top 3 pick and you get a center, Gaudreau, whoever that center is, Marchenko, and then you have Jenner with Laine and Ken Johnson.
Yeah.
Well, that's intriguing.
That's pretty simmering. I like that.
Yeah.
That's solid. That's really solid. Carson Meyer got 1 from you.
For the life of me, I can't remember it.
I don't either. It's like that's how long this season's been, people.
It's been longer than 82 games.
Yeah. Gavin Bayreuther got one from me. I know. That's like how deep we're digging here, right?
Just
Tim
Tyler
Burney.
Angle got one.
Yeah. Oh God, you did give Tyler one. That's right.
Yeah.
I don't even have that written here.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh. Tim Burney got one from me for scoring his first goal. Jet Greaves got one from you for getting his first start.
He was phenomenal in it too.
Yeah. Yuna Luoto got one from me around that same game, I think, for his first goal. And we talked about this, like when you're like 25 and you finally get a call up and you score your first AHL goal, that's still like really special, right? I don't know, like
No, I'm not laughing at your reasoning. I'm just laughing
at the fact that it's Yuna Luoto. Like,
you have one. Oh,
here's one that you're really gonna laugh at. You gave one to Hutch. You
yeah.
gave one to Michael Hutchinson, sir. So I don't want to hear
Smiling through the pain.
it. he played. You said he played super well in that game, though. He said like a 938.
He did. He played fantastic. I
Like,
gave it to him because
damn.
he deserved it. It's just like this is like I'm not laughing at like our decisions to give certain player Kepi Keepers. I'm laughing at the fact that this season's been so bad that these players have been in a
That these
position
players are
to
getting
play and
them.
get one.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair. And then I gave one to Corson Colemans for getting his ELC signed.
Mm.
And then we talked about his ELC, and that was fun. Jeremy gave one to Corpy, and Laura gave one to Zach when we had them on earlier this year.
Laura
shout-
on one episode and she gave,
Give it to
rest
Zach. Yeah.
we did all season. Oh man.
Oh boy. How's that for a chart, right?
If you would have told me before the season, man, just wait until Michael Hutchinson gets one, I would have said, oh no.
No, 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 no.
They would have been like, no. You trade for him later in the season. You trade Jonathan Quick to get him.
And you're like, excuse me?
Jonathan, what?
Jonathan, who?
Oh, God.
I'm surprised we didn't give one to Jonathan Quick for his time as a Blue Jacket. His 24, 48 hours as a Blue Jacket.
Oh, God.
What an unbeaten streak, right?
That
Oh
season
boy.
so much worse than I remember it being.
I think that goes to show. One guy that we're hoping that gets quite a few of them next year is a guy that's coming back.
Oh, yes.
We're
yes.
finally getting out of the chart, and we're going to talk about this. Alex Texier is going to come back for 2023-24. The French Poke returns.
Well, he brings an interesting element to the roster next season because this is another guy who can play wing or play center.
Yeah.
I think he's better suited for the wing.
Yeah.
But this is a guy who I think could slide in really nicely into that third line left wing spot. So we don't know why he went home in terms of like what happened or anything.
Well, we heard there was illness with his grandma, and I think she passed away, and
Okay.
Here's what part of it, and there might have been other factors to it. We don't know what all these other factors are.
So this player goes back home. He went through the player assistant program, and they recommended that that's what he do for the season. He said he's super excited to be back. He looks like himself.
Mm-hmm.
All I've heard from people is he's smiling. He looks like himself. He looks happy to be back. I think in the grand scheme of things,
Yes.
this may have been best for his career. He's going to have 1 year left on his contract, so it's a contract year for the kid.
Yeah. Well, they pushed that.
What?
They pushed it. They pushed the option.
So he has 2 years left on his deal now?
I think so. All I heard was that they were pushing the option on his contract.
I mean, I'll have to check.
So I don't know if that means that.
You know what? Here's how we do this. Cap friendly.
Oh my God.
What?
I'm looking at ZSC's roster for this season.
Yeah.
He played with a couple of old friends of ours.
Yeah, they have a couple of goals. They have Dean Kukin on that team.
They had Dean and they had Mikko Lehtinen.
Yeah, no. He'll have 1 year left on his deal.
Is it just going to be the one? Okay.
Because he only had 1 year left on his deal coming into this season.
Oh, really? It was
So
up
they
after...
pushed it.
Okay,
they pushed it to next season, so he wasn't going to be a free agent. So he'll be
Got it.
a restricted free agent next year. So this is a guy who's going to be in a contract year who I think has, like, one thing that we've said about him is it's been such a roller coaster. It's been up and down for him in the NHL. I don't think he's really found his footing despite showing flashes. I think 1 year in the Swiss A League, he had 46 games played. He had 35 points. So he played really well.
Wait.
I think that, like, playing in an
Hang on, say that one more time. I'm sorry. I was trying to
playing
look
in
up
an
the stats
overseas
myself.
league like this is better than playing in the AHL, in my opinion. And I think that this is probably best for his development because he's getting consistent reps in the top 6 and usually probably on the top line.
Yeah.
For
what did he
ZSC.
finish with?
In 46 games, he had 35 points.
Okay. All right. Cool.
So, you know, what is that? Over that's a 62-point pace over an 82 game season. Now, obviously, it's a different level, but if this is what do we want from this player? Like, well, if he's a middle 6 guy, a 35 to 40-point player,
yes,
can he be that?
I think he can be that.
I think he can be too.
Well, he's also one of the younger players on the team still.
He's still what, only 22 or 23?
Something like that.
He's really young.
Yeah.
What was he drafted? He made his debut in 2019.
Yeah.
So he's drafted in 2017. Like, he's young. So, like, there's still some hope there.
There's growth there that can happen.
And my hope is that here's the 2 positives that I see from this. One, he got to be home and stay with his family and play in a league that I think would be really good for his development.
Yes.
Other thing I'm happy about, I'm happy that he did this because not only would it have been tough for him to have been away from his family, this would have been a really tough season to.
Can you imagine him
playing
on? Yeah, for
it would have
this
been
team
miserable.
this year, it would have been
this is
so
the perfect year for him to step away.
Reasons aside, yes. I think personal reasons aside,
I think that in the grand scheme of things, this is going to end up being a really good thing for the team, and I'm happy he's back.
Yeah, I'm super excited that he's back, and he's excited that he's back. That was his wording. That was his big word in his Zoom conference.
They asked him what he missed, and he said, "I missed you guys the most."
Oh, I know. It's just like,
which is like, you're saying that to the media, liar.
I don't know. It's funny because like that felt like funnily warm and fuzzy, and
yeah,
it's something that you would think would come from a Frenchman, right?
Yeah,
he's a good kid, really good kid.
Yeah, really good kid. I'm excited about him being back with a team. I think this is good for us.
So yeah, like you said, I think he plays third line left, probably with Cole if Cole gets that shot.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what they do in that regard. But
Yeah, and then it would be fun to get another like young line as your third line. Like if you
Oh, put him
say,
with
okay,
honestly, put him with Jaeger.
that's what I'm saying. Like if you
Yeah.
have like Boone can play your second line center to play with KJ and Marchie and swap around with Johnny and Patty and whatever, plus whoever you get in this draft if you get a
Mhm.
center. And then if your third line is Texier, Sillinger, Chinnikov, that's young, that's fast, that's physical.
Mhm.
That's a really fun young third line.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited he's back, and it was good for the team.
I can be
It was good
excited
for
for
him.
I can be excited for shootouts again.
Yeah.
Yeah, because one-handed magic, love it.
I'm excited to see what he does with it next. If there's like a different move he makes.
If there's something different, or if he just keeps it going because nobody can stop it.
Like eventually you're going to be able to stop it if you just anticipate it comes, but is there going to be a fake poke?
Ah,
That's what I'm wondering.
yeah, a little fake out. Who knows? Um, so Jarmo Kekalainen had a press conference recently, both regarding Texier's return and the firing of Brad Larsen and Manny Legacy.
Yeah, I didn't see the one as far as Texier was concerned, but I watched the entire press conference for Brad Larsen and for Manny Legacy.
Yes. Do you have quotes from that?
Not off the top of my head. The one thing that I remember him saying was Portsline kind of essentially asked, like, when did you know?
Uh-huh.
Like, when did you come to this decision that you're gonna fire him? And he didn't answer the question. He basically said, like, oh, like, out of respect for Brad, I don't want to kind of get into that. And like for
Uh-huh.
me, it's not a question he has to answer because a lot of GMs don't answer those kinds of questions. But
Right.
if if the decision was truly made and just they woke up and they're like, he's not going to be our coach anymore, they would have said it.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So we can't speculate on when. We can't speculate on exactly how long it was. All we can truly speculate on and probably be pretty accurate is that he came to this decision uh a decent amount of time ago.
Yes. Some breaking news over the last like hour, just really quick. We got guys that are going to the Worlds. We know Texier is going to be representing France. Patty's
Yep.
going for Finland.
Who is?
Patrick.
Okay. Nice. Good.
Good for Patty. Good luck to Finland. I'm trying to find like just anything that I can find in regards to quotes and things from this thing. Because that's the thing about Yarmo is he's very blunt.
Yes.
He's very honest, and he's very committed
Yeah.
to this franchise. And he said, you know, we want guys that we want guys that want to be here, that want to help us grow, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think because I thought that oh, here we go. So this was like an opening statement from when Brad got fired. Lars has been part of our organization for more than a decade. We are extremely thankful for his hard work and many contributions, both on and off the ice during that time. We wish nothing but the best for Brad and his family in the future. Uh,
I have some quotes here too.
there were quotes from Bayreuther.
So I pulled up Portsline's article. We do our evaluation every day here. Kekalainen said, we watch every practice. We watch closely what's going on in the locker room. We're communicating with the coaches every day.
God,
We
you're
need a
delivering
change.
this. You're delivering this just as dry as he does.
We need a change. That became clear that we needed a change in how we go about our business on a day-to-day basis and how we're moving forward, the type of hockey that we want to play in the future, what's going to take us to the next level. I don't want to say the culture wasn't good at all because it was, and we have a close group in there, Wierenski said.
Mm-hmm.
But just in terms of the standard, we have to set
It's
the
just as dry as Z.
And we have to let this isn't acceptable. We know it's not acceptable. We've been on winning teams. We have to get back to our standard.
Yeah.
It starts with the veteran players.
Starts with the veterans. Goody.
All right, more quotes from Kekalainen. Once we get a full picture of that, we'll try to come to a conclusion as soon as possible. Always difficult. You're dealing with people you've come to know very well. Respect for Brad Larsen and Manny Legacy as people.
I love this Jarmo impression. All right. Portsy. Larsen said he had not seen Gavin Bayreuther's post-game comments Tuesday. This was from the 11th of January. Which he said the Blue Jackets gave up again late in a 6-3 loss to Tampa. But Larsen said, I didn't feel like that, no. So Lars isn't paying attention to his players' post-game comments.
Yeah.
More hindsight. Goody spoke openly about how practices aren't going well. You already talked about this, how they didn't know the drills and everything.
Here's a quote that from Jarmo that I found. This is the one I found most interesting. Because he got a little snarky with Portsline at the press conference.
Of course he did.
So he said, I'm willing to take all the pressure that's out there. I take full responsibility for hiring the 2 coaches that I've hired so far and the team that's on the ice. That's my responsibility. I own up to it every day in the mirror, and I will in the future as well. I'd say in 10 years, if you've gone through 3 coaches, that should be pretty low on the level of change that happens in the league. But I don't keep statistics on that. I focus on our team and what we need and what's right for the.
Ooh.
That's why we came to this conclusion at this time. Because Portsline talked about,
going through Richards to Torts to Brad. Yeah.
And he talked about him firing Torts, and Jarmo emphatically looked at me and said, "We didn't fire Torts." Said we just didn't bring him back.
I love.
I was like, okay, like, but you know what I mean?
It's like, but still, you went through 3 coaches.
Yes,
and he's got a point though that like 3 coaches in a decade tenure isn't really that bad in terms of turnover.
No, it's not bad at all. But when you look at it, to me, like, and we'll get into this next conversation about what they should do for head coaches. When they hired John Tortorella,
I do have quotes from Jeremy and Laura's Twitter that I want to go through after you're done with this point, just really fast, because these are from the presser.
Just go through them real quick, and we'll get back to what
else. First of all, this was absolutely a necessary change we needed to make. This is right. Yeah.
These things that they're saying are quotes that they posted.
Quotes that they posted from Jarmo's presser.
Okay. Are you going to read it in a Jarmo voice?
I could probably get that deep, but probably not. Well, this was just something that they said. Jarmo Kekalainen states that consideration will be given to internal candidates. Which, okay, so let's talk about this internal candidates thing. No.
Nobody wants to see this.
No.
Nobody.
No more.
Nobody on the planet wants another fucking internal hire.
I saw Ellie post about it, and she was like, please. No.
For the love of God.
Bring somebody from college. Bring somebody on the... I don't care if it was off the carousel. Bring somebody else in, please. God. How's this one? We screwed you. Jarmo's message to Chris Clark, who serves as the GM for the Monsters.
Oh, yeah. He talked about that. I thought that was funny.
I just love that we screwed you. The poor guy. Jarmo's thoughts on the goaltending. You have to be reliable and consistent. His continued emphasis on this point during the presser makes you wonder, does he think he has that in Columbus right now? No. Well,
I mean, he knows he doesn't have it in Columbus.
Yeah. And I mean,
can he have it with the guys in the room? That's the question.
Yeah.
And I think the answer to that question is yes. We've seen Elvis have 2 really good seasons.
Very good seasons, yes.
How do we get back to that?
How do we push him like that again?
So, and that's his responsibility. Hiring the right head coach and hiring the right goalie coach gets you there.
Right. So it's just, yeah. And then it is up to the players to perform, but still.
Yeah.
A good culture looks like the standard of work we put in every day. The standard stays consistent. There are values you never compromise. If you live by those values, you're doing the right things as an individual.
Send me that quote. I want to read it.
You want to try it?
I'm going to do my best here. I'm always.
Okay. Messages. There you are. There you are. Okay. And then, yeah, they also talked about, side note, the logos are gone from the NHL hashtags now, and that's really sad.
Good culture looks like the standard of work we put in every day. The standard stays consistent. There are values you never compromise. If you live by those values, you're doing the right things as an individual.
I love it. I love it. That's so great.
But what I wanted to get to as far as head coaches is
Yes.
when he hired Torts back in, I would say 2016, it was kind of a similar, or this would have been 2015.
Yeah.
The 15-16 season. It was a similar situation in the sense that they kind of lost their way. Things weren't as organized, and they needed a new voice.
Mm-hmm.
And he decided to hire someone who had experience, and Torts wasn't an A plus hire.
No.
He was a B plus.
But with the group
solid
that
coach.
he had,
He didn't need to knock it out of the park.
no.
He needed someone to set a standard and someone to really put things on track as far as the culture was concerned, and that's what Torts did.
Yes.
And I would make the argument for Jarmo with this young team and this prospect pool that we have. He doesn't need to knock this one out of the park either. He needs just another B or B plus kind of hire for a coach. And for me,
the standard for the competitiveness of this team is set.
Yeah. So my
so we know the compete level that we need as an organization. We know what this organization wants to be like.
Mm-hmm.
Now we need a coach that allows that to come from the players.
If you're like, I know everybody wants to hire a coach who's going to be here like a super long time, like a Jared Bednar or a John Cooper or a Mike Sullivan
or Craig Berube.
Craig Berube, long ass time there in St. Louis. But realistically, this is the NHL.
Yes.
And when
coaches are hired to be fired,
you need a. I'm not saying that you're hiring someone to fire them. What I'm suggesting is there is an opportunity to hire someone who this will be their last coaching job.
Ooh. Where are you going?
Boudreaux makes perfect sense here.
Oh, Bruce. Yes. We've talked about Bruce before.
This is a guy who you don't hire to fire, you hire to retire. You give Bruce Boudreaux a 3-year deal to let him take this young group that has so many unique offensive talents who are very raw.
Yes.
And you let him put that together.
Well, you got to remember the way that
standard, develop these guys. Look, Bruce Boudreaux, he's never won a Stanley Cup. Yeah, let me tell you. You know who's also never won a Stanley Cup or come close to it? This whole entire organization.
This organization,
yes. It's not a team that's going to be competing for a cup in the next couple of years. I don't think there's really many coaches who are better suited for this job the next 2 to 3 years than he is.
Well, you also have to remember the way that Boudreaux coaches, the resume that he has. He is a winner.
Yeah.
He's a winning coach.
Yes. He may not have the cup, but what he has done in his
And
career
he
is
gets the
precisely what we
best
need.
out of guys.
Yeah. You look at here's the thing that I think is kind of funny, the parallels between him and Torts. You're looking at a guy who had a long coaching stint one place, and Torts won a cup in Tampa. Boudreaux never won a cup with Washington, but they were both there for a long time.
Right.
And Boudreaux's had some other stops where he's done well. Torts did the same thing, but you would be hiring coaches coming off of like just over 1 year stints in Vancouver that were just a disaster, but weren't their fault.
Right.
And a lot of people thought Columbus was the last coaching staff for Torts.
And he's in Philly now.
Happening, but a lot of people think this is it for Bruce Boudreaux. I don't think there's a better job out there for him
than this. It's funny because I saw something. I can't remember if it was Portsy that tweeted it or someone. No, it was Bucci. John Buccigross tweeting like a thinking emoji with Peckold. Yeah, who coaches Quinnipiac, who just won the national championship.
So,
so Jeremy and Laura were like, what are you getting at, boy?
Well, here's the thing. There's two college coaches that I really lean towards. So one of them obviously Rand Pecknold for Quinnipiac, just won a national championship. And he's been there a long time. He has turned that program into a consistent juggernaut. I mean, they've made it to 3 national title games now. Finally winning a championship was so awesome. He's still only 50 years old, I think.
Yeah, that's a really young coach.
And then another guy who is, let me look just to make sure. Old. 6 years old, man.
Okay.
And this guy has been coaching Quinnipiac since 1994.
Wow.
Coaching record 615, 337, 103. So that's a 632 win percentage.
That's great win percentage for.
He's 12-8 in tournament games. They've played consistently. Well, they've won 19, 21, 22, and 23. They won the ECAC, their conference.
Right.
So, I mean, that is a guy right there who has said that he would consider NHL jobs.
Right.
So God, I would definitely consider him. And then the other one that I really like is Nate Lehman from Providence.
You mentioned Nate Lehman last show.
Only 50 years old.
That one's the one that's only 50. Okay.
Yeah, so he's 50 years old, 602 win percentage from Centerville, Ohio.
Hey.
And his coaching career, 1 year as an assistant at Maine, 4 years as an assistant at Harvard, and then 8 years at Union. And then he has been the head coach of Providence since 2011. So what has he done? As an assistant, he won a national championship. As a head coach, he won a national championship back in 2015. They went to the Frozen Four twice under his watch. ECAC regular season champions back in 2011. And then he was the head coach of the World Juniors team. He was World Junior champion coach back in 2021.
Hey. So there's a couple of college options. Obviously, Bruce is like the biggest like NHL name that we can think of. Well, no, because Peter Laviolette just got let go too. He's an option. Just in terms of carousel.
For the love of God. No.
no on Lavy? No.
No. No. Oh, no, thanks. I'm okay.
I mean, you don't want John Hines if the Preds let him go, do you?
I was thinking about this. We haven't seen this, I think, since the Devils did it with Lamoriello back in like 2000. But part of me is like really hoping that we get a scenario next year where like Hines gets let go mid-season and then Barry Trotz is like, What if I coach the team for the rest of the year? GM and head coach Barry Trotz would be kind of
Oh, that would be great though.
It would be fun, but yeah, God no, John.
Where he's just like, I miss being behind the bench. John, get out of here. Let me do both.
Another guy that I find interesting is I'm interested to see what happens in New Jersey if they keep Lindy Ruff or not.
Yeah.
Because I'm not interested in Lindy Ruff. I'm interested in Andrew Burnett. If
I
they
was
don't
gonna say, because Andrew just got like he's in trouble with the law and shit.
He had a DUI, and the DUI happened because he was driving a golf cart while he was drunk.
Yeah. And then
I'm just gonna say it because I mean everything I say. I couldn't give less of a shit that he was driving a golf cart.
A golf cart, but you still like. There's also this thing where he was like pulling a "Don't you know who I am" kind of situation, like, and it's just weird.
He was drunk, okay. He's a really good coach. I'll take him.
Don't you know who
I would take him as head coach of the team.
I coached the fucking Florida Panthers. God damn you!
That would have been funny if he said that while he was coaching the Devils.
The Devils, yeah. I coached the President's Trophy Panthers. Thank you.
And then they didn't keep me.
But like, yeah, there are options out there in the NHL realm and the college realm. I don't know if we want to look overseas because aren't there a couple of candidates that maybe in Europe?
Yeah. I'd probably have to look harder to see who they are, but
there's that one guy that's like just a consistent winner. I can't think of his name because European League. But
yeah. I don't know. My guess is they're gonna go someone over here. They're either gonna
probably
go Fred, who's on the older side, or they're gonna go with a college coach who's making the leap.
They'll probably go with. I know they're considering internal options, but please, just go outside, guys. Touch some grass and go outside. For our sake. And then we're gonna rapid fire through the playoffs to end this. So far through round one, we're gonna start in the East. Canes lead the Islanders 2-1.
Yeah.
And game 4 is tomorrow, Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
The Battle of the Sebastians.
Yeah, and Sebastian Aho scored against the Islanders. And then in game 2, Sebastian Aho scored against
the Hurricanes.
Because he scored an own goal.
Oh, man.
All right, so let's go one by one. So Boston's up 2-1 on Florida. Florida stole a game in Boston.
Yep, so our bracket, our picks are already busted.
That's okay. That was worth it. I don't even remember how many I picked for most of these. Toronto and Tampa are 1-1. Both games have been blowouts. The series is going 7. I'm not worried about it.
Well, yeah.
And tied at 2 heading back to game 5, and then it will be tied at 3 going into game 7.
The crazy thing is just like everybody was so out of it after game 1 already. And we're just
dude, I bet money on the league. I was like, after that game, I was like, they're absolutely going to win game 2.
Well, yeah, because like I'm just sitting there going, guys, it's game 1 and it's Toronto, Tampa. Calm down.
This is the Leafs, okay? Like they always respond in big games unless big games have the number 7 in them.
I don't know.
They'll tie the series. Down 2-1, they'll tie the series. Down 3-2, they'll tie the series. Game 7, loss.
They'll be fine. Like this, it's only getting started here.
It's going 7. Like I think we know that.
I think we know that. And then the Devils and the Rangers. The Rangers are up 2-0.
Oh my god.
I feel so bad.
The Rangers are just fucking stealing the Devils' lunch money right now.
Yeah, I feel super bad for our Devils fans because
the hell out of them.
Oh my god.
5-1 in both games. Good Lord.
Wow.
Devils are in trouble.
Well, the Devils can't get anything going.
Yeah.
It's like
and now you get to go to the Garden.
It's like, where did the offense go with these guys, man?
Like, don't get me wrong, Shesterkin's fantastic.
Yeah.
Shesterkin is playing well, but it's
Yes.
not the reason they only have 2 goals this series.
Jeez, man.
They look terrible.
It's
The West,
ridiculous. To the West,
Seattle won their first playoff game, and they play their first home playoff game tonight at 10.
Ooh, that'd be fun. The series is tied at 1.
Minnesota's up 2-1 on Dallas, and the one loss they had was with one of the dumbest coaching decisions I've ever seen in my entire freaking life.
And there's also
Philip Gustafson kills it in game 1. They win in overtime, and they decide, let's go to Marc-Andre Fleury for game 2 for no reason. They get shelled, and then they go back.
Rope hits Hattie, bro.
Yeah.
And a football score to boot.
And look, this isn't to crap on Fleury because I love Fleury, but there's no reason you switch your goalies after Gustafson plays as well as he does in game 1. And then he played well in game 3. Like,
right.
So we'll see Marc-Andre Fleury again. I'm kidding. But that was so dumb.
It's just weird because it's like, you know that Gus is your hot goalie right now.
And then that hit by Matt, that was also dumb. But
Jay, I know you got to get one in there, but like, wow, really? All right. Vegas and Winnipeg. Could Winnipeg actually do this?
I'm never going to count out Connor Hellebuck. But also, they just kind of killed him in game 1. They were up 2-1 after 2 periods. Do you know what shots on goal were in the 3rd period?
God, no, because
10-2 in favor of Winnipeg.
Wow.
I mean, they just shut them down. Now, the Knights found a way in game 2. They were down, I think, 2-1 in that. No, they were down 1-0, and then it was tied at 2 after 2 periods, and then 3 goals in the 3rd allowed them to take game 2. But been an interesting series so far. Heading back to Winnipeg 1-1.
Right.
The Jets have a chance to send this thing back to Vegas, tied at 2, and make this.
Jets have a chance to do something because didn't we both say like 6 or 7?
I think we both said Vegas in 6.
Fair enough. And capping it off with the Gretzky Bowl, Oilers and Kings. Kings are up 2-1.
Go Kings, go baby.
Go Kings, go. Excited to see what our boys that got dealt over there are doing.
Corpy's been fantastic. Gavrikov played well.
They went to Copley for one of them, didn't they? Or have they been riding Jonas?
They've been on Jonas.
They've been on Jonas for all 3? Okay.
Yeah.
They've all been fairly close though. 4-3, 4-2, 3-2.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's one of the tightest series you're gonna find because so let's see here.
It's wild though, because this entire playoff is crazy. We've gotten blowouts. We've gotten 2 hat tricks already. We've gotten one went to double overtime already.
Yeah.
Like we're getting a little bit of everything just in round 1.
Yeah. And this is it's gonna be interesting to see where we go from here for some of these series because I think the Rangers are pretty set. The Devils have to win 4 of their next 5.
I know. And it's like, I get that the Rangers are such a well-oiled machine.
And the Devils are young, but it's like, here's how these games go. The Rangers and Devils kind of go at each other for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But Rangers get a 2-0 lead.
Yeah.
And they just park the bus.
No, not even the Rangers. Just Chris Kreider.
Yeah, Chris Kreider. Oh my God.
Chris Kreider is just like, wow.
They have absolutely no answers for him.
No. There's like nobody can solve Kreider. And I mean, like
he is sunning them so hard right now.
It's almost just Kreider and his band of merry men. Like,
yeah,
whatever.
He's been bad. Like Igor's played well, but Kreider's been the best player of this series.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I still stand by my predictions.
I want to see the Devils do it though.
I'd like to see
I
it too.
want to see the Devils do it.
I like it when my girlfriend's happy.
No, I like it when our friends are happy.
Yeah.
And that's a wrap for that.
Yeah, we'll get more in depth in the playoffs when we don't have as much to talk about, but just a quick wrap
yeah,
up.
and hopefully soon we'll get a guest on for some fun off-season stuff to talk about with our boys, and we'll see what happens this week. And because the off-season can get kind of quiet,
Yeah.
but hopefully we get some fun news to talk about over the next little bit, and if not, we'll be working on a guest to have some fun with.
Man, that'd be great.
All right, see you later.
Jake Jackets, a podcast for fifth liners and all puckheads around. Follow the guys on Twitter at Snake Gehringer, GARRINGER, and at by J Ashdown. And subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen. March on.